Once again, I forgot my markers to actually mark this thing, but you know what? We'll go by sound again. Intro. Take one. How's it going, everyone? Steve here, and tonight we're going to do another movie review of a movie that recently came out on Hulu that I've been wanting to see for a very long time and has been getting tons of praise all around. The movie I'm talking about is Nomadland, directed by Chloe Zhao and starring Frances McDormand, David Strathairn, Linda May, and many others. The film follows the main character of Fern, played by Frances McDormand, who, after losing everything in the Great Recession, decides to live in a van and live as a nomad traveling through America. As I mentioned in the intro of this review, this movie has been getting tons of accolades all across the board. It's gotten tons of Golden Globe nominations, and it's pretty much a given that it's going to get a lot of Oscar nominations as well. And a lot of people think that it has a pretty good chance of winning Best Picture. I have a very bad habit, like many other people I'm guessing do, in which I end up getting really hyped up for a movie, hearing it's going to be the best thing ever, and anticipating it'll be the best thing ever, and then I watch it, and because my expectations are so elevated, I end up disappointed that it's not the greatest thing ever. Now, is Nomadland the greatest thing ever? No, but you know what? My expectations were not let down. This is a really damn good movie and it's well worth watching. Those of you who watch my content regularly know that I posted a video already of my top 10 picks for my favorite films of 2020. And before going through the movies in that list, I mentioned that there were some films that I didn't get to see yet that were made in 2020 and released in 2020 that I thought might have a pretty good chance of cracking into my top 10 if I had seen them. Now, I don't know exactly where it would be in my top 10. It wouldn't be number one, but it would be pretty high up there. I have to admit, Nomadland, I think, definitely is cracking my top 10 list of top 10 films of 2020. And now the question is why? Well, let's talk about it. Just like I do with most of the other movie reviews I've done, I'll start off with the fantastic performances. Frances McDormand is extremely good, as always, in the leading role of Fern. Frances McDormand has this knack for playing very strong, independent characters who give off this vibe of strength, but at the same time give off a very strong sense of vulnerability as well. And she totally nails that in this role, because this is somebody who is totally new to the nomad lifestyle, but is totally all in. And David Strathairn, another seasoned actor, gives another great performance in his role as well, in a supporting role that is very understated. But what really surprised me in the film is that the performances by non-actors, actual nomads who were cast in the film, who actually do live this nomadic lifestyle and had never acted before, they're actually really damn good actors. This obviously isn't the first time I've seen a movie where non-actors give great performances, but the impressive thing that really pushes this out there is that these performances aren't Oscar baity. They don't have unbelievably big, over-the-top theatrical moments. They're all really understated, and they all feel really grounded. There's something about them that feels totally real. And honestly, I think it is in large part because these non-professional actors were, by and large, actually nomads, and they were playing nomads. Every single frame of this film feels genuine, and I have to give the credit to the actors for that and the nomads who appear on screen, but I also have to give a huge amount of credit to Chloe Zhao. Chloe Zhao hasn't made a huge amount of films, but she's already made a huge impression with the films she's made in the past, and especially with Nomadland. She has this really beautiful way with working with what's in front of her and working with people who are not actors and allowing them to operate at a level where they can give a genuine, real performance. She knows how to capture, for lack of better words, the moment. It's not just the acting, it's the scenery. And it's not just the scenery, it's the context in which these actors are in this scenery and what's going on around them. Chloe Zhao knows how to capture the American landscape and the people in that landscape in a beautiful way. And because of that, she deserves every single award nomination and win that she gets. And leaning off of that, the cinematography in this film is some of the best I've seen in a long, long time. There are a lot of really sweeping shots of the landscapes, but you know what? There are a lot of really close, intimate shots as well. And they come in really unexpected places. For example, you see a lot of static shots of just the American West, and you see a lot of moving shots as well. But there's one shot in the film where Frances McDormand's character is just walking down a downtown street in a place where she stops along the way. And there is something about the movement of the shot and the placement of Frances McDormand in that shot that is sticking with me even now, days after seeing the film. As beautiful as Nomadland is, and as much as it might make people pine for exploring the open road, especially with the pandemic of 2020 and the ongoing pandemic, there is not any glamorization of van life in this movie at all. It doesn't put it up on a pedestal. It doesn't look down on it, but it doesn't put it up on this pedestal. A lot of you are probably aware of a ton of videos on YouTube and other sites where people talk about how awesome it is to go off the grid and not live tied down and live in a van and be able to explore the American landscape and do whatever the hell you want and have really awesome places for storage space inside of your van and all that jazz. But this movie does touch on that, but it also gets into the harsher aspects of van life. It doesn't pull any punches whatsoever. I mean, for every awesome piece of storage space, there's sleeping in the cold. For every awesome adventure, there's somebody going out to poop in a bucket because they don't have indoor plumbing. Once you watch this movie, you're going to know that living in a van is not all sunshine and rainbows like a lot of people sometimes depict it to be. And that's one of the things that I really loved about Nomadland. It's the combination of that harshness and that beauty. And it's something that you don't see in a lot of movies. And it makes you realize that, you know what? If you want to go and live in a van, and if you want to be somebody who just travels the country living in a vehicle, instead of living tied down to a house with indoor plumbing and knowing exactly where your next meal is going to come from because it's stored in your fridge safely in your house. I mean, if you want to abandon that lifestyle and trek out and see the world living in a van, you are absolutely a special type of person who is very brave. That's another thing I love about this movie. For all of the harshness it depicts and for all of the broken parts of some of the characters, particularly Fern, it does never, ever look down on the people that it depicts. It never puts them up on this pedestal, like I said before, but it never looks down on them as if they're making some sort of big mistake. In short, I just have to say, Nomadland is a harsh yet beautiful film that I'm not going to forget anytime soon. And again, if I would have made my best films of 2020 list just a little bit later, or if I would have seen Nomadland just a little bit earlier, this movie would be somewhere in that list. Not entirely sure where yet, but it would be. And now that it's released on Hulu, if you have access to Hulu, I highly recommend checking this one out. You're not going to be disappointed. And that concludes my review of Nomadland, a film that I highly recommend you see. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. It really helps out with the YouTube algorithm, and it helps people who don't know about my content, but would like to see content like this, find it easier. And if you're new here and you want to keep seeing what I make, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you can subscribe to my channel. But if you really want to be notified when I make a new video, instead of just randomly stumbling upon them whenever I post them, go ahead and hit that bell icon so you can actually be notified when I post a new video. And with all of that being said, have a good night, and I'll see you later.